If I say God, God and come, if I stand in the court of truth, if I were a bud, what would you say if I blossomed on your branch? If you were a bud, if you came to blossom on my branch. If I were a silver staff, what would you say if I pulled you down? Hoodie, hoodie, what would you say? Hoodie, hoodie, what would you say? Hoodie, hoodie, what would you say? If you were a silver staff, you came to pull me down now. If I were a handful of rye, would you say if I scattered on the ground down? If you were a handful of rye, you came to scatter on the ground. If I were a beautiful partridge, what would you say if I gathered you one by one? Hoodie, hoodie, what would you say? Hoodie, hoodie, what would you say? If you were a beautiful partridge, if you came to gather me one by one. If I were a young falcon, what'd you say if I seized you and lifted you up? If you were a young falcon, if you came to seize me and lift me up. If I were a sleety rain, what would you say if I broke your wing? If you were a sleety rain, if you came to break my wing. If I were a wild north wind, what would you say if I buffeted and scattered you? If you were a wild north wind, you came to buffet and scatter me. If I were a great patient, what would you say if I lay down in your path? Hoodie, hoodie, what would you say? Hoodie, hoodie, what would you say? Patient, if you came to lie down in my path. If I were a soul taker, what would you say if I took your soul? If you were a soul taker, if you came to take my soul. If I were a blessed servant, what would you say if I entered paradise? So what would